Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's April 16th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and hopefully most of you got the word that no chart lesson yesterday because of my doctor's appointment with the eye doctor, and everything still looks good. He still didn't release me. He said that he still wanted me to come back one more time, and if everything looks great, then he'll release me finally. So I got to go back again in about 3 months, something like that. But anyway, everything's looking great. He still wants me to limit my time at the screen for now, just so I don't overtax my eyes. And so I'm still not released for 100% yet, but I'm doing good. Thanks to y'all for asking. Those of you that ask, I appreciate it. We will have a short week this week. No trading on Friday because of Good Friday and the Easter holiday coming up here in the U.S. So keep that in mind. And I'm just trying to think. I think that's about it. I just really wanted to, for any of y'all that didn't get the word and wondered where the video was yesterday. I was out for a doctor's appointment, so we should have a normal week. Other than there won't be any trading on Friday, so no mid-morning chart on the website. If you're looking for that Friday morning, there won't be one. So there's no trading at all. Actually, Friday. It's not even. I don't even think it's a abbreviated day like they usually do. I think the market's closed completely. So for Good Friday. But anyway, nice downtrend today. It was a little iffy in the beginning. We just kind of went sideways. It was kind of hard to know where prices were going to go. It looked like we had a little bit of a channel working down here. But it also looked sideways. But once we dropped on down, we kind of dropped down in stages here. Notice how that works. Up until right in here, you probably could have traded this either way, even though there weren't really any good setups that I would have made me want to take along in there. Only one that's a possibility would be right here after that breakout. You really want to wait on a higher low, and if you wait till here, then it's no good. So that's a possibility right there. I'll give it a green. Those are the ones that sometimes pay off nicely, but they're always a gamble. So, because when you're trying to pick, the only thing, this is less of a gamble because this is definitely a clear trading range, and that's a breakout. And 90% of the time, even if it's going lower, it's going to fail temporarily, just like it did here before it went lower. So those can often times be major lows for the day, or if it's out the high side, it might be a major high for the day. So you like to try to, sometimes they're worth gambling on, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but you got to be careful. It's a two-edged sword. Anytime you're trying to pick bottoms, especially if you're not really experienced, even if you're experienced, it's still a gamble, but when you've watched this thing long enough, you get a better feel for when it's probably going to fail and when it's not. Most of the time, it's going to at least pull back and test the breakout area or the EMA, but it really depends on, the hard part is catching it and knowing when it's done. That's always the hard part with any correction, is knowing when the move is over. And just like right here, you got to be careful, and to know when the move is actually over here. So, and that's what happens to a lot of people. I actually got an email today. Somebody went short on the second entry. It was I think it was from a couple of days back. I don't think it was from today. But they might have went short like right in here, which you got two legs back, but that's the first break of your trend line, and you're not back to this major trend line yet. Then notice it goes back, makes a new high, and then it sells off. So you got to let the corrections play out. That's the difficult part. Generally, if you got a trend going down, that you need to be going short on a correction, but a lot of times people are too early, and so you got to be patient. You don't want to miss the move, so it's a fine line you got to teeter on right there, deciding whether you're early and you don't want to be too late either. So you just got to learn to be patient, and you got to learn to understand and let the correction play out. Like right here, you had to let this get a close outside, a new high, and then it sold off. Same thing right here. It's moving up. You get a close outside, a new high, and then it sold off. Right here, same thing. You're moving up. You get a close outside, a new high, and then it sold off. And it would have been very tempting. Notice it would have been very tempting to go short right there, but you probably would have got stopped out. But if you waited on that second entry, notice if If you're counting up, first entry, second entry. So really, you should have been counting from here. So first entry, and that would have been a second entry, and that would have tripped you up. But you need to wait for this trend to play out, which you get the break and the new high, and then from there, you just about have to wait on a lower high because you can't get a second entry from there until you make a new low, and we don't make a new low. So I hope that's clear. But yeah, really your counts here, first entry. And so that's a second entry short. And so a lot of people would have said, hey, we got a break and a new high. But notice what it did. It trades down, goes up, stops everybody out, and then it turns down. And that's what happens. You gotta know that this thing is played out. And even there where you would think on a second entry it should be, it hasn't. So it's a fine line and it's difficult. But the more screen time you get, the more experience you get, the more you start to understand when you got to enter. And if you waited on a lower high right here, you didn't get an entry. The bottom just fell out of it. Of course, this is all after 2 o'clock. I don't have anything marked, but it just was a good example. So we had a nice uptrend overnight. So that left this big gap here. Notice we bounced to that off that gap to the tick, and that probably would have been a place you might try to ride it back to the EMA or whatever, but we still weren't done even then. So and this channel looks pretty clear. It looks like we got a break here and a new low, but we continue to go lower. But if you look at this lighter one, really the downtrend started here because we never made a lower high until right here. And you can see that's really where the downtrend started. So draw a trend line off that one too, and notice how it's playing out until we got a break here, but we still kept going lower. So, and then this trend line came back into play again here. So, of course, from here over, this is pretty much sideways almost as well. So it's something else to think about. But if you draw your line here, and when it's sideways, remember, you can generally trade it both ways, but you can see that that's pretty much sideways. I probably would have played it right off there, off those closes, and that really gets these other moves into play here. And so again, we're just going side. That's the way this did it. We'd go sideways, we'd drop down. We went sideways, we dropped down. We went sideways, we dropped down. And really, we continued to trend down. Now we're recovering a little bit going into the 3 o'clock hour, but a lot of the day traders are exiting and so forth, and so there's a little buying going on at the moment. But anyway, let's talk about the trades and we'll wrap it up for today. Not a whole lot of them, so it shouldn't take too long today. But this is a downtrend for the most part. Try to back out a little more. We really started down, like I said, right here. It was sideways early, and then it was downhill the rest of the day. So you had to be a little patient this morning. 7 o'clock came right in here somewhere, and you were better off just really to stay out of this. This is basically, well, we got a new high regardless, but this is a double top. So you get a first entry, and you come down here and you bounce. You get a second entry, it fails. So you may attempt going short right there. There's not a lot of room to these lows, so that would certainly concern me. But it is a trap, and a lot of times you need that trap to push on through. So you may take that one. But then notice we push through, we come back, and we confirm that trend line right there. But to make it even better, we tried to go higher again and confirmed it yet again. It broke higher and then turned. When it went out right there, I like going short right there. If you had waited, by that time this ended up as a neutral bar, I wouldn't have taken anything else there. You do get a double test of this level right here. Notice you made that high. You test it once, twice. That's a big bearish bar. That's a great place to go short right there, especially after we already pushed through once right here. And off it goes. This was the trade of the day, really, so far, at least early on. And then we talked about this one. You move down here. You got to close outside the new low. You're a long way away from the EMA. We're probably going to bounce and come back. And notice there's no retest of this breakout when we went through there. Prices are going to come back. Notice once we made a perfect retest, it sold off again. And it's just funny how that works. And that was another reason maybe not to go short in here with no break of that trend line and no retest yet. So you do get a double test right here, but your signal bar is not very good. So I don't think you want to go long right there. It's one that you might consider. there is a second entry short there. You could have scalped out of that, but you could still look at that like a little failure and a double test, and we're not back to the trend line, so it may shoot back up there. So that's one to think about. It's a little aggressive in my opinion. But anyway, we start down. You get a first entry right there, and then you come on down, you get a second entry that fails. That's really the first close outside this line, so we're probably going to shoot on down. I like that one just as a trap. Failed second entry long. It also is a breakout pullback. Notice that support. It pulls back, it tests it, makes a little double top right there, and then it moves on down. It was too congestive right here. Not a very good signal bar either. And then, of course, we bounce, come back to the midline. Again, not a very good signal bar. It's just a first entry, too. There are two legs back there. It would be a hidden two legs because there's no break lower until right here. But this bounces, comes back up, and turns back down. I basically played this darker one. You had to draw that other one and kind of be aware of it. And you see it did come into play, but really you can tell the darker one was the more dominant pattern. But when you got that big bearish bar on a second entry short, notice that new low, first entry, second entry, plus you got your break, new high, plus that's a key entry point. That's a great place to go short. Unfortunately, it ends up bouncing here, but you still got a pretty good move down. And that's another one that's tempting, but this is obvious all downhill here, and it's really unclear if we've really had a break and a new low yet, because if you count this secondary trend line, that's the first close outside right there, and we don't have a new low yet. So you got to be really careful, but it is a double test. It is a nice bullish bar. It's one you could consider. So then notice move up first entry, and it looked like it was going to set up great there, and then it pushed higher, and you do get a second entry short there. I don't like that signal bar. Comes back again, and then it finally makes a lower high right here, breaks higher, turns and goes down. I like going short right there. And you're just looking for it to come back to here, but notice it pushes through, pulls back and tests it. I don't have it drawn all the way across there, but you can see that, and it pulls back and tests it. And notice that's a new high, first entry, second entry, failed second entry long. Nice bearish bar. You do have to go short at the low, but there's also a trend line working there. And so there's a couple of different reasons to like that trade. The way you had to enter this was when it broke below this one. If you waited till here, I probably wouldn't wait for that. But and it didn't break higher first, so but it was a failure the minute it broke below that bar right there. So that's where you have to go short. Even though I marked it over here, this is really where you're going to go short right here. When it broke below right there. Especially coming right off that key entry point. And it ends up bouncing here. If you'd have waited till this one, you got to go low short at the very low of the day, even though you're pretty close right here. It's not a whole lot of difference, but you can see it would have failed from there, but you're good from right here. So, and of course it bounces, and that takes you into the 2 o'clock hour. I wouldn't, on a good bounce right here off that lower support area again of this range, if you had a good signal bar, you may take a trade right there, but I don't like that particular setup. So that was pretty much it for today. It was mostly only shorts today. I don't see any longs here except the green ones, and they're green for a reason. So you want to skip all those for the most part. So yeah, and that was it for today. I didn't even look at what the market did yesterday. Looked like there was a pretty good sell-off, and then a little bit of a bounce in the afternoon. So I don't know if I missed anything or not. This was a nice little downtrend right here. So any of these key entry points, if you had a good setup, you may have considered them. You can see my chart. They're not very good setups, but yours might be a little different. And if they're off those key entry points, they're always a consideration. if the rest of it, if the rest of the context is correct. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for today. I'm going to keep this one to only 15 minutes. So, but yeah, I'm done for today. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow on our shortened week. Really a short week for me because I'm going to end up taking off Monday and Friday this week. So anyway, I'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.